Very warm welcome from Ankara to Bonn and to all the places where we can be seen and heard. It's a pleasure, it's an honor to be with you and to join the Equal Care Day Festival in cooperation with the Equal Care Day Initiative from Bonn. So, hello, Almut, Sasha, Jan, Jana, and all the rest of the team. It's very nice to be part of this huge event. We join as TED University Center for Gender Studies. We began to participate in the Equal Care Day events in 2021 when we realized a research at TED University about the mental load. So we did a mental load study. Gülçin, John Wright, and Aylin Çakıroğlu-Çevik did a research and held a presentation about it. Then in 2022, on Equal Care Day, we had an event about purple economy with Professor İpek İlkaracan. Last year, we were not able to do an event due to the terrible earthquake in Turkey and in Syria. What we did was to make people aware how important care work is also after disaster, after the earthquake, how much care work needed to be done. This year, we are happy to again be able to make an event on Equal Care Day. Today, I am very happy to announce Dr. Burcu Sarı Karademir as our guest of honor. She will be talking about a care-centric approach to political economy. Purple degrowth will be her topic. Let me introduce Dr. Burcu Sarı Karademir shortly to you. She received her PhD degree with distinction in the Department of International Relations at Bilkent University in Turkey in Ankara in 2012. She pursued her postdoctoral studies on the impact of status seeking on states' balancing tendencies in war and peace studies at Columbia University in New York. Among her publications are Building Back Better with Gender in Mind, Centering Turkey's Women and Girls in Earthquake Recovery, Mor Küçülme, that is indeed Purple Degrowth. She has published various articles in Turkish on that topic. Her research agenda covers traditional security and foreign policy issues such as Turkey's strategic autonomy and great power politics under unipolarity, and issues of critical security, including human security, purple degrowth, danger risk management, gender, and democracy. Dr. Sarı worked in the Department of International Relations at Bilkent University and at TED University in the same department. Burcu Sarı and Selver Şahin received the 2023 Şirin Tekeli Research Incentive Support Award with their project entitled Emancipating Women and Girls from Vulnerabilities Through a Social Reconstruction-Oriented Approach and Disaster Management. Dr. Sarı works as a volunteer at TED University's Center for Gender Studies. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Burcu Sarı Karademir once again for her speech on a care-centric approach to political economy, purple degrowth. The floor is yours, Dr. Sarı.
Okay, I'm sorry for delay in being able to open my microphone. I hope you are seeing my screen, and I would like to thank all of you for your participation and for this very warm welcome. Zuhal Hocam, thanks. It's an honor to cooperate with you all. And it's a great honor to be part of this initiative, Equal Care Day, and raising awareness on how important it is to have awareness on the care work and women's work, and demanding equal share of state, the market, and between the genders. So thanks a lot, and I would like to thank those who are listening to us in anywhere, caring for care. And let me start by my introduction to title A Care-Centric Approach to Political Economy, the Purple Degrowth. Actually, in this presentation, I'll be sharing with you the idea, the degrowth, which is itself a criticism of the growth and the current political economic system. And I will be giving you a critique of the critic. So it won't be something easy to achieve. But if we are to achieve degrowth, I argue that it needs to be purple. So it needs to be feminist. Why we are doing any work in academy in a feminist framework, because we believe that the theory is for someone and for some purpose, and for feminists it is for all human and for gender equality. So we care the well-being, we care emancipation, we care change, and we think praxis makes difference for everyone, for every day. So we are talking about care, which is an everyday practice. So we practice theory as an everyday action, everyday knowledge production. So it is very normative, and it's also political for us to imagine a better world. So personal is international, theory is political, and theory is feminist for us. Why I consider, while I'll like to invite you to consider the current world, I want us to consider politicizing the economy, which is considered as the closest to natural sciences, because of the data they produce, the policies they recommend. They have the cure, or they have the idea that the economy has its own, invisible hand to correct things. So, and the growth and the tendency to growth is the foundation for betterment of the world. So what degrowth scholars are saying is that we don't have to have growth for a better world. We have to grow in the correct and right places, so that we have a better world, and we really reach the sustainable development goals, if there are any chances for us to reach those targets. So the argument here is that the growthism itself, the growth, the tendency, the narrative of growth, that every economy should grow so that everyone should have the benefits of the capitalism and the capitalist world, is actually not right. So they don't call this age as Anthropocene age, they call it the Capitalocene age, so that they mean it is not the humans they hurt the system, it is the humans' ideology of growthism that hurts and that consumes the world's natural resources, and hurts the environmental conditions, and also creates human inequalities, global inequalities. This is a very nice saying by Nancy Folver and the feminist economist, that the road to hell is paved with the stones of the dominant paradigm. So the growthism is the dominant paradigm. We cannot imagine any politicians promising not to grow before the election. So they all promise growth, and we should produce more, consume more, grow more. But on the other hand, they also tell us that we have to have the sustainable development goals. We have to sustain the environmental conditions, and we have to reduce the inequalities. So how did the capitalist system up until now reach the targets? We will see in a minute. I'll show you some statistics and some data regarding how growthism delivered its promises for women, children, elderly, disabled, migrant, and displaced people, which means the majority of the world, whether they enjoyed the the benefits of capitalism, or is it only few of the people who benefited from the growthism in the world? So Sustainable Development Goals are here. If you check the goal number 1, no poverty, we see that there is a green, a yellow line is the fair progress. And if you check the goal 8, which is about the decent work conditions and economic growth. And if you check on the number 9, the reduced inequalities, and 13, in terms of the climate action, you will see fair progress, acceleration needed, and the rest of them are fairly reached or not on track. Only 15% of the sustainable development goals are reached, and the 48 point of them are moderately or severely off the track, which gives us a sign of warning. Here you can see why degrowth action is concerned about growth itself, because GDP is growing. So green economics or green economy or any sustainable development project that is not questioning the capitalism and growth itself does not check on the material footprint. So as the GDP increases, we see the increases of the use of the material resources of the world, which means that we cannot have the both at the same time. We cannot keep using the material resources and decline the growth or be sustainable. And when you look at who uses the energy and who uses the world's resources, most of the world's resources, they are the ones who uses the energy the most, who have the increased GDP per capita. So the most developed countries, highly developed countries, are consuming the world's most of the resources. And when you look at the United Nations Environment Programme's emission gap report, you can see that China, United States, European Union of 27, India, Russian Federation, and the rest of the G20 countries are consuming the most of the world's resources as well. When we talk about environmental boundaries, we have tendency to see the focus only on carbon emission. But when you check the planetary boundaries, which are composed of 9 items, you can see that we are out of line, and we consumed 6 out of 9 planetary boundaries, and they are red already. So this is a big sign for us to stop the environmental crisis. And you can see here in a very interesting study, that is the world's overshoot day, which means that the day is calculated regarding the planet's ecosystem use. And we already used or we are about to use the resources and finish the resources as a world, and on 25th of July 2024, and we will be having a gap on the rest of the year. So it was to August 2023 last year, which means that every year we are consuming more, and we are having a gap on the rest of the year. If you check this website, you can see your own country's consumption of its resources, planetary resources, and the deadline, and how much you are in debt to world in terms of consuming the planetary resources. When it comes to social harm of the growth, you can see that actually the world's population is not enjoying the welfare equally. And when it comes to the gender parity, you can see that anywhere in the world is women are under represented in terms of having access to gender equality, having access to the equal pay or income equality. And here you can see a dire picture that 1% of the population owns 38% of the total wealth of the world, and 10% of the population owns 70% of the total world, and 50% of the population owns 2% of the total wealth. So that's the tragic picture that we have in here. So growthism also, as I underlined, is not, it's ignoring women's pay work, because the work we create every day is contributing countries' GDP. As you all know, hopefully, that the GDP is calculated by ignoring women's unpaid work. So whatever women do to reproduce and socially reproduce in a household to make this paid production possible is ignored. So when you, then International Labor Organization and OECD make the study on how much women's unpaid care work contributed to GDP. In OECD countries, you can see that, for instance, it's almost 15% of Germany's GDP is composed of women's unpaid care work. And you can also see here the International Labor Organization's chart. Here, Germany has 23%, 0.8 of its GDP is based on unpaid care work, and the almost 15% of it is produced by women. And when it comes to Turkey, 13.2% of Turkish GDP is produced by women's unpaid care work, and 10.6% of it is produced by women. So this is an ignored contribution of women, which women receive no thing. Not only women contribution to the state's economy, it's also in the households how women and men have unequal distribution of paid work. You can see here the gaps. The green line is the gap that needs to be closed to reach gender equality in the households. So most of the work in the households are made by women, and in nowhere in the world, except maybe the Sweden, Norway, Denmark, are the closest to equal share in terms of gender balance in the household and the care work. But the rest of the world has a lot to do in terms of reaching equality in the households. When we look at public expenditures on the care policies, we can see that, unfortunately, again, no government spares equal share or important share to public expenditure on the care policies, and it's really dire for Turkey. You can see Turkey is having only 1% of its budget for public expenditure on care policies, while only about 30% of female population is working. So this is telling itself that how care work expenditure, the absence of care work expenditure is reducing women's empowerment and tying them or having all the burden on themselves and keeping them away from economic, social, political, cultural rights and arenas. Women's poverty is a global problem, and when you look at the world, you can see that the least developed countries are suffering from the women's poverty, extreme poverty, and this is really concerning when it comes to sustainable development goals. And we need to do a lot of improvement in terms of women's getting their enough share from the development, if there is any. So this is the yesterday's statistics, and it says that we have a lot of things to do to reach the gender equality target by 2030. 300 years to end child marriages, 226 years to close the gap in legal protection and remove discrimination in law, 140 years to achieve equal representation in leadership in workplace, and so on. So when you look at the women's power, empowerment, participation in social, economic, political life, unfortunately, it is the care work that puts women at risk. So care work, as we all know, is about producing for family. It's an everyday practice. It is relational. It is emotional. It is labor intensive, it is time consuming and time demanding. It's about the well-being and welfare production of the family, society and state and the global welfare. But the majority of the primary care work is considered to be women's task, and it is unpaid, under-recognized and underappreciated, and it is consuming women's resources in terms of time and reducing their opportunities to fulfill their own dreams, because they cannot have enough time to invest in their education. They don't have time to invest in their self-development, which keeps them away from their economic, political, personal securities and creates insecurities for them. Even though women participate in the workplaces, they are usually gendered, they are participating in economy that is gendered division of labor, and they face this inequality in terms of paid labor, and they have employment gaps, they have wage gaps, they have segregation in terms of labor. So we have unfortunately very unfair and double standard and hard work experience for women because of the mental load, because of the double shift and so on. So what we also have in the growthist world is the growth of care crisis, because the number of people who are needing care is on the increase, which is predicted as 2.3 billion of people is going to need care, and we will need 445 million jobs for caring those people. So this is the picture of the world, so that degrowth scholars are critiquing and criticizing, and they critique the global capitalist system because it prioritizes the growth at any cost, and because it creates human exploitation and environmental degradation. And degrowth scholars emphasizes the social and ecological well-being over corporate profits and excessive production and consumption. So they say we cannot prioritize the minorities' well-being over the majority's well-being, and they advocate for radical redistribution of and reducing the material size of the global economy, and promoting values of care, solidarity, and autonomy, which are our concern today here. So they say if we want to transform the society, environmental justice and a good life for all within planetary boundaries must be our concern. When you look at degrowth literature and degrowth activism, it is composed of different groups coming together and producing new imaginaries about today, and they are calling it nowtopias. So nowtopia is about how we can change the world for better, and it is a communal act, and it is an alliance of different imaginations of different people coming together. It embraces alternative lifestyles, and it does not promote material accumulation, but they promote human well-being and ecological sustainability, and they advocate for a voluntary, equitable world, and they criticize growth for growth's sake, and they advocate for global and ecological justice, and they criticize the domination, hegemonic relations, any type of power dynamics that suppress the disadvantaged, and they have this open hand and an open heart to the people who are considering the same thing, and like-minded people to come together from different domains of the world as we are doing today. And they are open to different forms of organization. It doesn't have to be formal parties, or they can be anything like cooperatives, women's cooperatives, environmental cooperatives. So it's also an activism. So it is not just an theory, but it's also about practice and activism. And basically, it's an intersectional theory of change, opposing patriarchy, capitalism, and colonial materialism at the same time. Some of the critics say that the degrowth might be like recession, but Jason Hickel, a prominent advocate and scholar in the field of degrowth, makes this very nice summary of why degrowth is not recession. So degrowth is actually a planned reduction of energy and resources used designed to bring economy back into balance with living world in a way that reduces inequality, improves human well-being. So reducing the energy and resources use sounds like recession for some. So he says degrowth embodies a deliberate policy framework. So it's not accidental like recession. It doesn't happen in an unplanned way. So it is deliberately planned to reduce ecological impact, and it's deliberately planned to diminish inequality and enhance overall well-being. It was also, it takes a selective approach to reduce ecologically harmful production like SUVs, arms, beef, private transportation, advertising, and planned obsolescence, while expanding the crucial sectors like healthcare, education, care, and conviviality. This means that when there is a recession, it is the first sectors that are reduced, hit by the recession is the healthcare, education, so the care sector itself. So they have a selective and planned approach regarding to protect people's well-being. So it is not like recession. And what they suggest is that the prioritizing the renewable energy transition rapidly. But when there is a recession, governments tend not to invest in this costly inventions, costly transformations. So it's also different in degrowth. What degrowth tell us is that we need to combat unemployment and improve employment conditions by shortening the working week, guaranteeing the jobs with livable wages, universal basic income, offering retaining programs for workers in declining sectors. It prioritizes sustaining and enhancing people's livelihoods and despite reduced economic activity. So no matter how economy is hurt, for the degrowth, it is the people's well-being, their livelihoods, their welfare and happiness that needs to be prioritized rather than the growth rates themselves. So that sense, it is different from recession. And degrowth aims to diminish inequality and promote fair distribution of national and global income through measures like progressive taxation and implementation of the living wage policies. That means when there is a recession, most of the time government's taxation policies are not favoring the poor, but favoring the rich, as we all experience nowadays. So there is this conscious choice, conscious policy made towards reducing inequality. Degrowth action also endeavors to expand universal access to public goods and services. So they consider we having access to healthcare, education, transportation, and housing is basic public good. So it is the responsibility of the state to, the main responsibility of state to distribute those resources equally to the people. So why I criticize, or why I needed to develop this purple degrowth concept, because as I read the literature, I came across this, a call for care, call for women's inclusion, and so I asked how, and I also agree with the scholars in the field that there is this very strong potential between and very strong synergy between degrowth and feminist, ecofeminist economics. So we have to do all, the care related growth, planned growth for degrowth. But when you look at the degrowth literature, it is mostly focusing on the environment, and they are talking about the care as genderless action. So I asked this very fundamental question of feminists: where are the women in degrowth, and what are the potentials for women, and what are the risks for women? So when you ask this question, all of us know that nothing comes automatically for women. So nothing is planned automatically for women. As people who mainstreamed gender equality, whatever we think, however we imagine the world in a different version, we always consider women's concerns, women's interests, women's well-being and welfare as the first and foremost thinking in our imaginations. So I saw this risk in degrowth as well. So this, if this nowtopia becomes something real in the future, if we decide to have a care economic, care oriented economics, then we have to consider how it's gonna affect women. So this is why I and the scholars in the field also say that if the calls for heightened care within the degrowth approach is not accompanied by gender equality, the burden of care might disproportionately fall on women and perpetuate sexist perceptions of the certain roles. So we have to make degrowth internalize feminism while reimagining and organizing the relations of social reproduction and care to avoid reproducing traditional gender roles at the expense of women. So that's quite important, that we have to keep women's concerns while reimagining, reorganizing roles, so that we don't recreate the existing conditions that are at the expense of women, that are hurting women's welfare and well-being today. So if you look at this graph, you will see how important it is ecological processes and caring activities. So tip of the iceberg, you see the reproductive valueless, uncounted and underappreciated work, the maintenance economy combined by environments and women's care work activities, making it possible for us to have a monetized economy. An International Labor Organization estimated that unpaid care work and domestic work counts as 9% of the global GDP, which is huge. So if we have a change and if we increase the care work, there will be more there is this risk of more of the work will be still under the line, and there is this risk that we will still be blind to appreciate how much care work is contributing our lives. So we have to make it visible and we have to make it purple. So the purple degrowth agenda is actually coming from feminist economic approach, but as Zuhal Hocam mentioned, İpek İlkkaracan introduced this concept of purple economy. But purple economy itself, it is a theory asking of reorganization and regulation of production and consumption in harmony with an equitable system of reproduction of human beings. But it mainly considers the change within the existing paradigm. So it doesn't question the capitalist system, the growthism itself. So it is about, green economy, green growth, sustainable developments, and how we can make it women's life better within the existing economic system. So degrowth itself is against functioning within the existing system. So it says we cannot keep growing and having as equitable work. Equitable world together. So it doesn't work it's not going to work for future. So we need to restructure the world. We need to restructure the world in a way that caregiving capabilities within and across societies needs to be redistributed, and public and private domains and men and women needs to redistribute their equal share from the care work. But if it continues, or if we have this approach to fix the current system, we will not get there. So for us to get there, we have to have this break from the dominant paradigm and problem-solving approaches to, and we should stop fixing, stop amending the existing capitalist system. We have to change the system all over from top to bottom, and we have to give up this obsession of growth, and we need to reimagine a better world, because we cannot have environmental sustainability while we are growing economically. So what Purple Degrowth suggests is that we have to have planned growth in selected areas of education, health, care sectors, and it adopts ideas from the degrowth literature. So equitable care-based economies for increasing human happiness, welfare, spending quality time at work, focusing on care rather than career, and efficiency at work, and we need to find a work-life balance somehow. And İpek İlkkaracan and International Labor Organization, as the feminist economist, produce this care-based economic principles, and so we know how to increase care-based economies based on the studies. And it used to be 3R policy that is also foundation of İpek İlkkaracan's study on the purple economy. We also have the principles like universal public provisioning of healthcare, care services, and caring for care dependents like children, elderly, disabled, and the sick, and regulation of the labor market and enable a work-life balance for men and women, and public policies to address special needs of women and people in rural communities, and regulation of the macroeconomic environment for nature and nurture as the core objectives, and democratic participation and civic involvement contributing to care economics. So it needs to be a collective action and collective demand from our side. This is the 5R framework that is promised by and promoted by the International Labor Organization. It says that we have to recognize, reduce, and redistribute unpaid care work by promoting measures that is listed in here, and we have to reward and we have to appreciate more and more decent work for care workers. So we need more care workers, and we have to reward and appreciate their contribution to the care economy. And representation, social dialogue, and collective bargaining for care workers are important because they are working under very indecent working conditions, so that people choose to care as job as well. So the world is aging, and the number of the children are decreasing, including in Turkey. Now we have aging population, so we will be in deep care crisis, and we will need more state involvement in regulating the care economy. Purple degrowth means we need to have more time for care, so we have to leave GDP-oriented growthism and focus on the social benefits of economy. If the economy is not benefiting us socially, we need to change the policies. If we look at the data is not lying to us. It says that there is something wrong about this economic system, so we have to change it. And we need to expand these critical sectors, and it is also telling that we have the aging population. We need more people for care, so we have to invest there. And we have to change the whole system, establish the whole system based on care economics. We need to combat unemployment, and we need to reduce the work week also work days and working hours. So this is something very important because we work every day. So not working one day is not enough, because we have to have reduced hours in a day so that we can spend more time in working for care. So providing job security with livable wages is important. Universal basic income, job security, universal job. Having a job is a basic universal right, actually. So we have to make sure that everyone has a job so that everyone has a decent income. So we have to retrain people for changing economy, especially women, and increase their economic security, their empowerment, so that they can be stronger and they can share the care work with their families in the households, and also they can buy care help from outside. So we need to prioritize enhancing livelihoods, and we need to prioritize women's employment for conditions like economic downturns. And diminishing inequality requires for us to pressurize the governments to have progressive taxation and taxing the rich, and having a living wage policies at national and global levels. So reduced working hours is a must for all of us every day, because care is everyday practice. We cannot say I am saving some time for on Tuesday and I'm going to use it on Friday. So if it's not possible, we need to reduce it every day. I'm sorry. So what I would like to conclude by is saying that care is we are having a care crisis, and care crisis is political, economic, and ethical concern, as well as the environmental crisis. And we cannot have just technical and compartmentalized thinking on the solution. So we cannot say we will have everything at the same time. We have to give up this ambition of growthism and using the sources of the planet and exploiting the planet and exploiting the women's work, and we cannot have compartmentalized solutions regarding those exploitations. We have to have a holistic and a radical solution. So we have to politicize, rethink what growth means, what happiness means, what development means, and even degrowth is not enough, and degrowth needs to be purple, feminist, to deliver its promises for an equitable world for all, because this is the promise of every ideology, every theory, to bring equitable world for all. But if it excludes half of the world's population, it can never be equitable. So for it to deliver the promise, it needs to be purple. So thank you for your attention, and that will be it. I'm ready for questions and any comments that you would like to bring.
Thank you very much, Dr. Burcu Sarı Karademir. Very inspiring, very thought-provoking, and I'm sure we will be having many, many questions from the floor here. Thank you once again. There is one question from Gizem Bilgin Aytaç. Thank you for your critical contribution, which we need a lot for the interdisciplinary area of global politics. So from the international relations perspective, a global view that we have to have in this regard. Thank you, Gizem Hoca. Other questions from the floor, please? Do we have questions that come along? If not, then I can use my position. So you highlight the you highlighted first the many problems associated with capitalism and with growthism. And then in your speech, you highlighted the new thought of degrowth, which is necessary indeed, a critique of capitalism and growthism and the capitalist area in which we are living. Degrowth is necessary, but not sufficient, as you have highlighted, because what is missing, and this is what all feminists highlight in all areas, women. As in IR for a very long period of time, we need always to ask the question, where are the women? So let me ask by asking exactly this question: where are the women in the degrowth debates? Thank you.
Thank you for this question, Hocam. Actually, degrowth has only discussion the mainstream because it's a new approach. So it's about to form its alliances, and it is newly emerging. So when there is a new debate, a theoretical debate, it is never about women. It has the the priority of environment. So they are focusing on the environmental degradation and whether this green economy is really possible. So the main counter argument that degrowth literature is doing is it's not possible for us to have a green growth. All the green growth is a sham. It's a lie. It cannot be done. We cannot have green growth by technology, use of technology, because every time we want to invest in green technology, green energy, whatever, it needs to consume more material resources. Every time you have use material resources, you have to go deeper. For instance, using this you have to have mining, you have to go deeper in the earth to reach the mines. So you're going to hurt the environment every time you make a step towards technology. And technological innovations, they say it's not helping us, it helps us to become efficient, but the capitalist logic, the growthism itself, it's not working in that way. It doesn't stop when they have, if you're a capitalist, you don't say, today I finished my work early because I was efficient. You say, today I'm efficient. I was able to extract resources and finish my target at 6 hours. Oh, I have 6 hours more. So why don't I use my efficiency for 4 more hours? So you use this efficiency to consume more, produce more. That means that efficiency that we have is not helping us to enjoy the benefits of efficiency. That's the logic, that's the growthism, that's the capitalism, that's the ambitious tendency to consume more, produce more. So we have to stop there. But they don't say, where are the women in here? Because the priority is environment now. So since this is a new debate, I am trying to integrate this women's perspective, that the care economy, because they understand the value of care and importance of care for the better world. So it is based on care, but how care can be produced in an equitable way, given the conditions of disadvantages of the world we are living in today, is the question. So it's a debate, it's an attempt. The purple degrowth concept that I produce is an attempt to challenge this argument, or bring this a new discussion to these arguments already having its environmental green dimension. So it's coloring them with the purple color, feminist color, so that to force them to think how important is care economy for a better vision of the world.
Yes, thank you very much, Burcu Hocam. It's impressive indeed. So the green needs the purple on its side to be of highest use, we can say. Do we have other questions from the floor, from our participants? If not, let me again use my privilege right now and ask you another question. I'm I really wonder about the the reasons. Can you contemplate about the reasons? Why do you think do we, as human beings, forget the importance of care in our daily lives? I think that during COVID-19, during the pandemic, we understood how important care is, and many said we should respect, we should understand the importance of health care workers and care workers. All these sectors were being appreciated at that time. And I believe that this would bring a change in mind and the highlighting of care for the future. But I was wrong in this regard because we have forgotten as human beings the importance of care again. What can you say on this point?
Um, Care is like oxygen. So care is there all the time. It's given, we take it for granted. If it's not there, we understand its presence, its importance, how, essential it is for us to live. But when it's present and made ready-made for everyone, somehow some magical people, makes it ready for us. They are women, invisible. Then you understand when it's not there, it's vital. So unfortunately, we are forgetful, and we don't have this appreciation for every day. Every day is a very feminist, time periods, because our lives are made of every day, and we don't see how important it is to appreciate the things that makes us live today. When they are combined, it makes your lifetime. So when you care and when you reproduce well-being every day, it is producing well-being for life, well-being of the country, well-being of the community, well-being of the society. So we have to remind, and actually we have to share it equally in the household, because people value the things that they put effort in. If we don't put effort in, care work equally in the household, and if someone does it for you for free without complaining, maybe we have to learn how to complain. Maybe we have to learn how this care work that we produce is important for their livelihoods. Your children cannot go to school if they cannot find the pair of their socks. Mom, where's my sock? You don't have to make it ready maybe, but you do it because you love your child. You want them to be prepared for the week. But once in a while, we should stop doing it to remind. Hide their socks maybe. Make it a play. Maybe on 29th of the February, we need to find a game. Hiding the socks game. So, hiding the tie game, so that they look for it and they understand how valuable it is. Simple things that we produce, that we make for them. Unfortunately, we are ungrateful as human beings for care, for little things. So there is the poetry, no one has time for the niceties, little niceties. İnceliklere kimsenin ayıracak zamanı yok, as in Turkish, the Gülten Akın's poem is very telling. No one has time to recognize what is important, how little things makes our lives and livable. So that's quite important for us to recognize. Unfortunately, COVID-19 passed and we forgot those time periods. So I think there is a problem with internet and Zuhal just, right? Might be. Yeah. Any comments maybe?
Hocam, actually there is another question
In
in
the
the
chat.
chat box.
Mhm.
I can read it.
Please.
Thank you, Burcu hocam. My question is related with Sual hoca's question. She asked, where are women? So we understand when it comes to unpaid work, which is invisible labor, it is hard to make visible women in the academic studies. So my question is, what kind of methodologies you may suggest us or tell about the challenges of unveiling the invisible?
First and foremost, I think there is a huge literature on feminist economy, political economy, feminist literature. So feminism now is not, a sidelined approach. So the increase of the women in the academia who are working on with the feminist theory is in a number that we cannot say we are few and we are in need of collaboration. So the literature might suggest you the methodologies depending on your department, your field. So what I would suggest you to, go to the field itself and look who are the women or who are the people who are adopting the feminist approach in your field, and then ask this very fundamental question: that where are the women? Start by asking this question: where are the women? And then, depending on your research question, you can look for what methodologies you can use, and you can make it visible from women's perspective. So, but the first thing is to ask where are the women, and then depending on your research in the field, the methodologies are field dependent. So I cannot give you one size fits all methodological recipe here, but we have to, make more research.
Burcu hocam, thank you very much. There was an electricity cut, and I fell down from the Zoom session. I'm very sorry about this, but I joined back again. I guess our time is up already, as we need to finish in a minute. Thank you very, very much. I think it was a very inspiring speech that you held for us. I also asked Jan whether there are any questions on YouTube, but there were no questions. All are very happy to have listened to your presentation. I hope that this will be an inspiration for the future to follow this line of purple degrowth and to realize it now, not later, as Cynthia and Lo has said, is a patriarchal concept. We need to do it now. As my last words for today, I wish all of you a very happy Equal Care Day and hope to see you again next year on Equal Care Day 2025. Thank you. Best wishes from Ankara. Bye-bye.